practical tips. So when we say boss, what does that come to your mind?
Who controls?
Who controls? Okay.
Who gives us order?
Who gives order? Huh?
Who follows it?
Who gives the order? Okay.
Does major decision?
Major decisions. He assigns work. Yeah, right. Manager means he assigns work. Yes. And he tracks the work, whether you are doing or not. He does the annual appraisal also. Maybe
and gives money also.
And gives the appropriate rating, and then appropriate budget allocation also happens. Okay, good. What else?
Which is often not seen.
But what does that, when we talk about the general image of the boss, not in a very idealistic way, but in general, how when we say people that
the respect will say thank you, boss.
Thank you, boss. Okay, respect will be there. Okay. Do we come across such kind of boss who is exploiting? Huh? Exploitative. Okay. What about you should do what I'm telling you to do? Very authoritative. Nothing that you don't do anything else than what I say. And what about shouting and very rude, right? So this is the general image of a boss who is very authoritative, very rude, and of course full of pride. And just a quick question here: how many of like your current boss? Of course, we are not recording your things and will not be on the, so do not worry. Otherwise, your manager will see and say, "Oh, my associate is saying something here in front of me, but now I have a video record of what you are saying." But you can always say that actually it is AI generated. So what do you think? How many of us like our boss? Yes or no? And of course, it's not that everybody is like this. There are many people who are very, very nice. I mean, you see that you can see the nature. Some people are very, very wonderful. Yes or no? At least yes or no? Yes. Good. And of course, why that once we know the boss, everybody want to be boss there, and then there is always a very stiff competition to become them. Then if you have to be right on that ladder, and unfortunately, as you know, there is a pyramid. So bottom there will be many people, but as you go hierarchical way on the top side, you are very less people there, and not everybody can be accommodated there. So there is always a stiff competition to become a boss, and everybody want to be boss. Is there anyone who does not want to be boss? Everybody want to be boss. Be your own boss. And why do you want to become? Why people want to become a boss? Why we would like to become boss? Growth. Okay. Huh?
Give orders.
You can give orders. Yes. Growth is okay, but yeah, that is also the orders.
Assign work to everyone so that
you can happily enjoy money. Yeah. Okay. Controlling. Yes. Controlling is very that somehow it is there. It is there that yeah.
Sadism, like.
Yeah. So we would like to control the people, become authoritative, assign the work, and you can happily enjoy and give a command, and everybody should follow that, right? Of course, now earlier days in Vedic culture, the servant used to be also very loyal, and the boss also used to be very genuine, very ideal. But today the scenarios are keep changing, because we saw the last time. What was the last topic that we discussed? Not the week ago, but the 2 weeks ago. Yes, 3 modes of material nature. And we know that if somebody is in Rajoguna, Tamoguna, how they be. So we understand that is mainly the gunas that are commanding, or that is actually into action. So why people want to become boss? It feels nice to have control. He said, yeah, it is nice to have control over the people and think. And one of the studies show that why people would like to have pet animals. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Control.
So there are many other reasons, of course. So, but one of the reasons is that because it doesn't say anything, it doesn't respond or retaliate, and you shout on that poor fellow, he will listen that. So control, you can control that, and of course now you can become power center and enjoyer. You assign the work and you enjoy that, and nobody would like to be subordinate. Nobody would like to be subordinate because we don't get that feeling, because servant is not a, you don't feel that, you cannot say that I am servant. If somebody says that are you in team member, nobody will put into resume that I am a team member. But as soon as we get the promotion and then we become a manager, we say that okay, I am managing 10 member team or 15 or 20 or 30 or I am so and so, because that is how in this material world actually gets appreciated, acknowledged. But who is the real enjoyer and who is the real boss? So now there will be many boss in our life. And in the particular organization itself, would have changed from one group to other group. Our boss keeps changing, right? But there is one boss who is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, and see what is that God, what is his characteristics. Let us see here. The first shloka today for Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter, shloka number 29. It is, last time I said it is Mataji, this is the shloka called peace formula. So, Bhoktaram yajna tapasam, Bhoktaram yajna tapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, Surudam Sarvabhutanam, Jnatva Mam Shantim Ruchati. Bhoktaram yajna tapasa. Bhokta means bhogne wala, enjoyer. Bhoktaram yajna tapasa. All the yajna, all the sacrifice and austerities, that the real enjoyer is Lord Krishna. Sarva Loka Maheshwara, and he is Ishvara. We all are Ishvara. We are also Ishvara, but we are tiny Ishvara. But the Param Ishvara is the he. Ultimate. Yeah, ultimate Parameshwara. We can control our body to some extent. We can control the team members in our things. We can control our spouse or vice versa. We can control our kids to some extent. But today the kids even may not listen. But yeah, so we might be the Ishvara. We could be a tiny Ishvara, but the Param Ishvara is the Lord. And Surudam Sarva Bhutanam, who is actually Surudam, who is the well-wisher of Sarva Bhutanam. Sarva Bhutanam means all living entities. Bhuta means living entities, and Bhuta also means ghost also, but Sarva Bhutanam. And it did not mention only because sometimes people say that Bhagavad Gita is not a secular book because they don't understand the concept. And then here Lord Krishna is not talking about Sarva Sanatana people or Sarva Hindu people. What does he say? Sarva Bhutanam. He doesn't even mention about the living human beings. He even talks about all these living entities. And Sarva Loka Maheshwara, and he's the master of all the planets. And that is where Bhagavad Gita, one day somebody said that, oh, Bhagavad Gita, now this is the month where we go and distribute books on the road. And somebody from other faith is, why you are distributing? Because I'm not a follower of Sanatana. He said, where is in Bhagavad Gita? I said that it's only for things. For example, this shloka, Surudam Sarva Bhutanam, I'm well of all the living entities. Did it mention about this particular stick? No. If you see, there are many things which are mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. For example, Bhagavad Gita chapter number 2, shloka number 14. Matra sparshas tukamte sitoshna sukha dukkada agama pai nityo tam titikshasva bharata. Right? This shloka talks about that how living entities go through the happiness and distress just like a Sita and Ushna, the summer and the winter season comes. And here Lord Krishna does not say that it is particular to living entities. And is there anyone in this material world who does not go through the cycle of happiness and distress? Everybody goes through that. So that means Bhagavad Gita is applicable to everyone. It is not only to particular caste, religion, or something. It is applicable. So let's read the translation. Why the microphone is on? Mataji, पढ़ सकते. You can read translation.
A person in full a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all the sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries.
Jnatva means knowing. Mam, me, Lord Krishna says that. Shantim means peace. Shantim ruchati. So, person who understands this, he can attain the peace. So, what is that? Here it is said that the real controller, or who is the real enjoyer, we might bring lot of sacrifice, austerity, studying for 12 hours, 14 daily work from 9 to 6, 9 to 9, Monday to Friday, Saturday, and even sometimes Sunday as well. So, in that scenario, but who is the real enjoyer of all the sacrifice and the austerity that the living entity go through? Krishna says, it is me who is the real enjoyer of all the sacrifice. And not only that, he is the Supreme Lord, Sarva Loka Maheshwar of all the planets. Nobody can claim that I am the Lord of all the living entities. It is only the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita who claims that he is the Supreme Lord of all the planets and the demigods. And he is a Suhrudam Sarva Bhutanam, he is well-wisher of all the living entities. So, and once we understand this, we can actually attain the peace in this material world. So when we see that Krishna, so sometimes people get a doubt, how is that people are going through so much of suffering and how the Lord is Surudam Sarva Bhutanam. But actually there is a reason for that. Everything, just like a father and mother, sometimes when even the mother scold, right? Father scold, if he is not following what he is supposed to do that. Suppose morning if he get up and he does not brush, doesn't the mother get angry and scold the child? Yes or no?
Yes.
Now if somebody comes guest and says that, hey, what kind of mother are you? You are a cruel mother. Don't you understand he's a small tiny boy and you are scolding him or her? But what is the mood here? What is the mood here? Is for his correction, for his wellness. So similarly, when the living entity goes through the miseries or difficulties, it's because of the previously whatever the nonsense we have done, which is against the scriptural things, it gets a reaction for us. And because of that reaction, it is a purification of a thing. For example, if we have a debt or loan on our head, it is always very painful, right? We have always anxiety that how to pay EMI month after month, month after. So similarly, when all these sinful reactions when we carry, we have to face reactions out of that. And because of that, Krishna, I mean, it's not that, don't consider that the Lord is having a stick in his hand and he wants us to go through the difficulties. No. He is such a Srurudam Sarva Bhutanam. So what he does not interfere in our will. He just wants all of us to be free will, independence. Because what we have in this material world is only the free will. And as soon as the free will is taken, we lose all independence and we become like a robot. But if there is no, if you want to have a love to someone, we have to have independence. We cannot go and somebody say that, hold his collar and say that now I love you. You cannot say like this, right? Sri Sri Gandharvika Giridhari Bhagavan ki jai, Narasimha Bhagavan ki jai, Gaurita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So if there is to be love, the love has to be volunteer, right? You cannot force someone and say, no, I give some money, or hold, say that you say, no, I love you. You cannot do that. Love has to be volunteer. And if we have to love Krishna, it also has to be on the volunteer basis. And that is why we all have a free independence. And that is the only thing that we have in this material, the free choices. We always have a choices, no matter what happens. We have a choice whether to come here or no. We have a choice whether to do this or not do that. So, and when there is a choice, the choice comes with the responsibility. And when that responsibility is there, so when I have a choice and I make a decision, I must be responsible for the decision that I make. Yes or no? Do you agree with that? Yes, Matas, do you agree? So when I make a mistake, I should also be responsible. For example, I'm a student and my duty or responsibility is to study, and if I don't study and if I get a mark, that will not be very wise to get the good mark without studying. I mean, of course, you can do today somehow something illegal ways you can try, uh, but you can cheat to people here, but you cannot cheat the Supreme Lord. You cannot cheat. He is the master of everything. So he is the well-wisher of all the living entities. So even if we go through the difficulties, now there are two things. Again, I'm debating. It is out of script here, but uh, when the Lord is sanctioning something, because nothing happens in this material without the sanction of Lord. Not even आपने सुना होगा, not even the blade of grass does not move with the Lord's move. Then how does that somebody is killing and all those things happens? So Lord's sanction does not necessarily mean that Lord likes that. Lord likes that. Now, for example, sometimes mother would say that don't eat chocolate. Beta will say no, I want. Mother will say don't eat. Beta will say I want. And third time mother said don't eat. So then what the boy will do?
He'll start crying.
He will start crying. Then what mother will do?
It's okay, take little bit.
And go ahead. But does it mean that mother is sanctioning, it is her will? She is giving. But it is not that the mother want that. Certainly, when we as a living entity, because we are so adapted, Lord said, don't do that. No, I want that. Please do not do that. No, I want. Okay, do it. But Lord sanctions, but not necessarily always mean that He wants us to do that. Because tomorrow, if somebody goes and slap someone and say that no, because he's sanctioning, I'm doing. No, we are responsible for every action. We discuss this point ultimately, right? Yes or no? So we have to be very clear, because sometimes people say, why? Sanction does not necessarily mean that He likes us to do that. Sometimes the sanction has to be out of if we are too much adamant and don't listen to them. So Bhagavad Gita is very clearly telling that God is the leader, and that is sometimes a problem for us. And why that problem? Because I want to be big boss, but the seat is already occupied, and now I cannot become a boss. So then what we do? We try to find some other ways, and just like because why it is so difficult, when in the organization, when you do the work, the profit goes to the bigger people. So similarly, here it appears that I am doing all the austerities, coming here, working hard, and Lord Krishna very easily says that He is the Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasa. He is the Bhoktar. Bhokta means enjoyer of all the Yajna and Tapasa. All the austerities that one does, the real enjoyer is the Supreme Lord, because everything belongs to Him. Everything belongs to God, and how can we give in a charity? Because when the main thing is that everything comes from me, and what is the thing that we can give a charity to that, or we can renounce? There is no question of renouncing. Everything belongs to God. All we have to do is that everything that we have is because of His mercy. We have to engage in His service. And the day that we start using for our own sense enjoyment, then we become a thief. And that is what we do. And once we become a thief, we become eligible for the reaction. And the reactions could be health problem, financial problem. This degree that we do the mistake, the degree that we commit the offense, the degree that we get a reaction. Because Lord acts as a judge. And the judge is the unbiased. He doesn't say that, okay, he is my son, or he is my daughter, or a king. When you are in a responsible position, you have to be unbiased. And that is where Lord does that. He just award either a good thing or punishment to us based on what we have done. It's as simple as that. Just like a teacher does not want the student to fail. Is there any teacher who wants her student to fail? No, nobody wants. But still she gives a mark less than a passing mark. Why? See, just award according to the study that one has done. See, award according to the according to the answer that one has written into the question paper or answer paper, and she awards the person who has written good answer. She gets good mark, and who has not done, she gives 0 mark. So, is the teacher right or wrong? Is the teacher right or wrong?
Right. Teacher is always right.
Teacher, the question that is she acting right way or wrong way? Or she is favorable to the student who is giving good mark, and she is unfavorable to the student who is giving whom she is giving a less mark. She appears to be biased. Okay, let me ask the other way. Is the teacher biased here?
No.
Exactly. So that is the answer. So similarly, because she is just giving the award, the degree that one has written the answer. So similarly, for us living entity, that if we do the things according to the scripture, then we will see some good progress, we will good health, monetary benefits, and all things. Of course, and we do not come here for all those things, but even within the boundary of the scripture, if one does that, we can get good things. And if we do not do these things, we get the result opposite to that what we are supposed to. Then maybe legal problem, health problem, issue problem, relation problem, this problem, that problem. So what we do, and that is the whole reason that we offer everything to the Lord. So why we do Aarti? One of the reasons that we perform Aarti is to offer the thing that we are using that should be used in the service of Lord Krishna, which represents the earth, water, fire, air, ether, all 5 elements which you offer to the Lord. So now, having understood that the Supreme Person that we are talking, is he person or he is the light? The Supreme Shakti, or whatever you can say,
Light.
the Supreme Person is light, huh?
Yeah.
Is the sun, okay? So when we see Lord Krishna doing the Leela, then what is he that?
He's a person.
He is a person, okay? Is the Supreme Lord God, or the Supreme God is a person or impersonal light?
Impersonal light, because we cannot see him, and his leelas we are getting affected.
Okay, we are getting attracted. Okay. Any other thought?
God is both personal and impersonal light.
God is both, is a personal as well as impersonal. Okay.
Thought.
Huh?
Not thought. Thought.
Meaning? Matlab? He is our thought.
Thought means, like, if we follow him, he'll always.
That is true. If we follow his instruction, and then we get benefit. That is true. So here our main question is that whether the God is the person or is the impersonal light.
Impersonal light who became as a person, came down earth as a flower.
Okay. So Maharaj has a different thought there. He is in reality is impersonal light, but then he's taking a form. Okay. Any other thought? If God is a supreme, is he person or an energy?
Positive energy.
Energy. Eh?
Positive energy.
No, I mean the original form, I mean the existence of everything, the source of everything is a person or energy?
Energy.
It's a
Positive
person
energy.
and
Huh?
energy is his power.
Sorry, what's it?
He's a person and energy is his power.
Okay, Mata is saying that he is a person and he has a energy. Have you ever seen intelligence?
Just take my Gita, Prabhuji. I'm sorry.
No problem. Have you seen any, presence of intelligence without having a person who is intelligent, right? Have you seen a Shakti without there is a Shakti man? Have you seen the creation without being a creator? Have you seen the laws without having the lawmaker? So we will see that how Bhagavatam addresses what Mataji said in a sense. So what you said is a different concept, but we will actually discuss that now. So now, what is the problem if Lord is a person? Let us just give that. Let's little bit do the thinking here, churning here. What is the problem if Lord is a person? What limitations you think that the God will have if he is a person?
Person may do mistake.
Person may do mistake. Okay.
So person doesn't have power.
Person doesn't have power. Okay.
May not have all qualities.
May not have.
All the qualities.
May not have all the qualities. Okay.
Visibility to others will be less.
So because he is here, he cannot be everywhere.
But understanding for lower people also very difficult because he is there.
Okay.
He cannot reach up to information of God.
Okay. Yes, bro.
He has some lifespan time. Person.
Is limited by time.
Yes.
Is limited by time. Okay.
Relationship.
Sorry.
Relationship.
Relationship. So that is good not to have relationship. No, I didn't understand that. मतलब
Some family relationship.
Persons will have family relations.
it's I mean it is good or I'm not understanding the context. समझ में नहीं आ रहा.
It's good, but sometimes.
Okay. But he already said that he's Surudam Sarva Bhutanam. He has a very good relationship with all living entities. And Lord says Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Pariteja Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja. So I'm just giving hint here, saying that Lord is saying that you surrender to me. He did not say you surrender to energy or Shakti. And he says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu, I am the source of everything. He did not say Shakti is the source of everything. He did not say Maya Adhyakshana Prakriti. I am the Adhyaksha of all the material nature. Now, then how do we synthesize the limitation that you all mentioned? What you said, it's all right. Those are the limitations of us. We as the living entity, we have a limitation. For example, Prabhu said that he has a limited time span. We take a birth and one day we have to leave. It could be any time. So that means if I am a person, I am a God, and if God is a person, then he will also have a beginning and he will also have a end. And that is, so what happens, this is the concept that we had about ourselves. This is what we have seen about other living entities. This is what we heard about living entities in this material world. But we are not talking about ourselves. We are talking about that Supreme Lord, because our body, first of all, we as ourself is different from the body. We discussed that in many sessions, right? Our body is made of earth, water, fire, air, ether, whereas Lord Brahmadev says Bhagavan is Sachidananda Vigraha. His body is made of the elements called Sat, Chit and Anand. When Lord Sri Krishna was in Dwarka, Naradji came, and that time Krishna had how many queens he had? 16,108. 16,108 queens he had. And how he was maintaining for all of them? He had a palace for each of these queens. Not only that, he had a palace, and because he is a Lord, Adi. Anadi means, Adi means beginning, Anadi means no beginning. He has no beginning. And if he has some beginning, that person becomes a God. By definition, God is the one who has no beginning, and his body is not like our body, which is made of this. It is not when Krishna now he says Surudam Sarvabhutanam, he's personally present as a Paramatma in all living and he can expand. So I do not know what Prabhu is thinking at this point of time, and he does not know what I am thinking, but he is present in Surudam Sarvabhutanam Jnatva Pruchati. And he also says that Bhagavad Gita 15.15 Sarvasya Chaham Hrudi Sannivishto. I am situated in everyone's heart. So he knows what you all are doing, we all are doing. But we, as living entity, when we have limitation to our body, we think that if Lord has a form, he will also be limited. But please be informed that our body and his body is different. Our form and our things is different. We are like a tiny and he is Ananta. We are Anu and he is a Vibhu. We are Anu and he is a Vibhu. So, and now, why can't we be this way? If you ask, if Lord is the source of everything, if we have a form, why can't he should have a form? Yes or no? And if he does not have a personal form, that means he is not a complete. Because if I have a form, I am his creation, and if I have a form and the creator does not have a form, that means the creator has limitation. So if I have a form, he also should have what I have, and he should also have what I do not have, and that is the Lord. So if we say that Lord does not have a form, then actually we are limiting in that way. But the difference between his form and our form is not the same what we think that. And that makes God's and his body is Sachidananda Vigraha, is eternal, he is knowledgeable, he is always blissful, and that is where is that. So when Krishna appears here, it's not that Krishna was not there and on Janmashtami night he appeared. No, it is like a Suryadev. When the Suryadev is there, today now sunset happens. Did Suryadev disappear? He just disappeared from our vision. Tomorrow morning, and of course now he must be somewhere in the, if you go to the west side, Suryadev is already there. Somewhere is rising, somewhere is setting. So Suryadev is not getting disappear, he is not getting died or getting birth. He is there. Only that he is disappearing from our vision. So similarly, God is always there. And now in what format that we will see that as Mataji was saying. So let us see this shloka will give the clarity that how the Lord one can realize. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yad jnanam advayam brahmati. So now, how do we realize when the first time train came? When the train was invented, I mean the train was started in India someplace, and the villagers were very curious. How does this train look like? And then somebody, when he saw that from the far distance, oh, train is like a smoke. And then he came running, oh, he told all the villagers, the train looks like a, so, because they do not know what does it mean by to have a train. Now today we know everything we have seen, but when you are seeing first time, we have just heard about the train, and that time we did not have the newspaper, we may not have access to that, and of course there is no question of all this in digital media and all things. So how will you define? So people were curious. Then said, oh, the railway is like just a smoke, because that time it could be a locomotive train where it is diesel engines and the smoke is coming out. And then he went to the village and gave the message, oh, train are look like that. And as soon as some came closer and somebody said, oh, train is like the engines are there, and then there is a bogies are there, they are connected to each other. And then he went running and gave a message to the villagers, oh, you know what, the train looks like this. And then afterwards when the train stopped, and from there the people came out, oh, actually it is like this, there is a smoke is there is a engine is there are coaches are there, and there are people also who are sitting inside. So like this, the absolute truth, Param Satya, can be realized in these three ways. Just like, I will give another analogy of that. So we saw two analogies. One is the mountain, we saw the train analogy. We will see the third analogy, and which will give much more clarity of the Suryadev. Now when you say Suryadev, So then what we see everywhere, Surya is present everywhere or no?
Yes.
How is he present everywhere? Through his light and heat. If there is no Surya Dev, you see now as soon as we get in the evening now, it's winter time, so we'll start getting cold, right? So and when Surya Dev comes next day morning, and we'll say, so Surya Dev gives the light and Surya Dev gives also heat. So the light and heat is also his aspect. That is the first thing. But if somebody says that if you have Surya Dev, it's all about only heat and light, is that the one that? Then what else is there? So there is a planet called Surya Dev. Okay, and that is the next aspect of realizing the Surya Dev. And the third thing is that actually there is a one person called Surya Dev who is the presiding, who is the main deity of this Surya Dev planet, Surya planet, and who is the one who is doing all those things. So now what we see, heat and light is the first aspect of that Surya Dev. The planet Surya Dev itself is the very close of that, and then next is the person who is a Surya. And when there is a person, there is a exchanges, there is a relationship with that. So similarly, after these three examples, are you able to understand now how do you see Param Satya in similar to this analogy? So we saw Param Satya can be realized in three ways: Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti Shabdate. So now, how do you see that? What could be this Brahman? Huh? What could be the Brahman? Or just compared to the Surya Deva analogy?
Brahman is the energy.
Energy, okay.
Light and heat.
Light. So whatever actually Surya Deva is also giving the light because it's a reflection of that. So when we say that Lord is present everywhere, actually it means it's in Brahman form. He's actually present everywhere. His energy is everywhere. His Shakti is everywhere. His Brahman, just like the effulgence of the Lord. If you say Bhagavad Gita 15.7, it is said that if you go to the Lord's things, we don't need the Shashi, na Chandra, na Surya, na Shashi, na electricity, na power. You don't need anything. 15.6 or 7. What is this? Can you check, Mataji, what is the shloka? The beginning of the 15.6. Na Shashanka, na Pavaka, the Brahma Jyoti, the pursued as the Brahman or the impersonal light coming from the person who has that source of. And the next is the Paramatma, who is in everybody's heart. And the last is Bhagavan, where the Lord is a person and he is actually performing all these pastimes. If Lord is not a person, can we have some exchanges, loving exchanges with light? Light को offer करो पानी, light से बात करो, light से प्रार्थना करो, prayer करो. Can we do that? No. So we can understand Bhagavan with the three aspects, and the first is that this. So the most delightful or most blissful is the Bhagavan realization, and that is the topmost realization. So all this realization does not mean that they are wrong, but it is not complete understanding of that. Just like the train coming from the long distance, we just see smoke. Is it a wrong? No, but it is not complete understanding. It is a partial understanding of that. So similarly, when we have a Brahma Jyoti, then we have Paramatma, and then we have the topmost is Bhagavan. You see all our great acharyas, when they are worshipping Lord, sometimes you see that if yesterday we were in Melkote and we were discussing about Ramanujacharya, Sripad Ramanujacharya, and there is a place called Kanchipuram. Have anybody visited Kanchipuram? Kanchipuram. And the temple there in Kanchipuram is Varadaraj. That is Meenakshi Madurai. In Kanchipuram there is a deity or the Lord temple is called as Varadaraj. Vara means benediction. Vara. You give the benediction. Vara. Da means the person who gives that, and the king. Varadaraj. the king of giving all the benediction is called Varadraj, and there was one devotee and him. He cannot be God. The supreme God has to be supreme all the time to come. Yesterday he was a God, today he is God, and tomorrow he will be God. And that is why he is the supreme controller. If somebody says that yesterday he was not a God and today we become God, then yesterday by definition you are violating the definition. God has to be all three kaladne. He should know all three. If he has to know three kaladne, that means he must be time is also under. Now another thing, somebody says that he has a limitation when you take a form, you take a birth and things. Actually, he does not take a birth, he just appear. Even we do not take we are eternal soul. Atma is in eternal, he is a Paramatma, he is always there. Are you able to follow?
Yes.
Or any challenge, any question, we'll pause here. If any questions is there, I think we have some more definition, we'll discuss maybe sometime. Yes, right? What does he say? Let's discuss if you have some questions. What is the problem that limitations of the personal form? I think we have given a lot of time there. Any questions? Lot of technical discussion today. Yes, bro. Any questions? Comment? Yes, bro.
As a human,
माइक्रोफोन नहीं है माता जी माइक्रोफोन नहीं है बट नहीं चल रहा है so that the others can listen. I think it's not, it's okay. Okay, yes bro, बोलिए.
so as a human, we have very limited senses. We can see only very limited things. So considering the universe and the earth itself, it's a huge thing which is beyond our imagination. As a human, we can only imagine few things and we can see only limited things comparing what we can imagine. So when we are studying, sometimes God has no beginning and no end, and it doesn't have any form. So let's say we have 33 crores of gods and goddesses. So when we imagine, we just see a form, but sometimes what a thought comes to me, which is beyond our capacity, we cannot really see them, but something with our limited things we are visualizing, okay, God can be like this. So that form appears to us, which is sometimes I feel which is beyond something which we cannot really actually see a form to it, because it doesn't have form, it doesn't have beginning and it doesn't have end. And with the limited senses of a human, how we can imagine, okay, there is something. So it's all imaginary or it's all logical, but is that true that we can see something which is beyond our limited knowledge?
So there are three things. Anything, there are three ways of Madhvacharya's commentary says that there are three ways that we can gain a knowledge. One is a Pratyaksha Praman. Pratyaksha Praman means direct sense perception. We see that, we believe that, right? Senses. Whatever our senses can see, our senses can hear, our senses. So this is Pratyaksha Praman. However, there is a challenge for this Pratyaksha Praman. And why there is a challenge for this Pratyaksha Praman? The first thing is that our senses are limited. Because we cannot hear less than the 20 hertz of frequency, and we cannot hear more than the 20 kilohertz frequency. So there is a limitation. Forget about that. If we have a stick and if you put into the water, how the stick appears to us? Bent, right? So that means even the naked eyes, what appears to be very clear, that appears to be even bent. So that means our senses have limitation. In this Bhautik Sansar itself, if you have to gain the knowledge, we have a limitation there. What to talk about beyond that? So this is the Pratyaksha Praman. And the next Praman is Anuman. Anuman means inference. So you see cloud, and now you will infer that there is going to be rain. And so once there was a house, and in cities that you keep the door closed, and then outside somebody was hearing that there was some quarrel happening, and the obvious inference was that who are fighting? Huh? Who's fighting? No, in that house the outsiders are actually inferring they are hearing from within the house, they are hearing some quarrel, so some fight, so
Husband and husband.
husband and wife, very obvious things, or maybe father is scolding someone. Now this is the inference, but now what happened in reality, it could be that there is a television going on
The high volume.
and high volume, and that they are seeing something else, or it is a drama that the father is doing and is scolding his child as a drama practice. So there is a limitations even for the
Our
inference. And the another problem for this inference, because we are doing the inference through our
Yes.
senses, and the senses itself is limited. So now even the inference can be also limited, and that is where the third way of gaining the knowledge in the Vedic literature, Vedic culture, is called as Shabda Praman, sound. And this knowledge comes from Guru Parampara, right? It comes from the Guru Parampara, and it comes from the scripture. Now you said that we imagine a form. We never imagine a form, because if I start imagining form, I can imagine anything, but that imagine has to be Praman. And in Vedic culture, there is always a Praman. And what is that Praman? Where is this Praman coming? For anything, there has to be some authority. Scripture. So now today, you have seen that whenever we see, there is always a reference of some scriptural references. So when this Bhagavad Gita is actually spoken by Lord himself, so he's actually talking about that, and we will see how the Lord has a form. Now when the Stapati, the scribbler who actually formed the deity, he is not forming out of his own mental speculation. There is a scripture, how the Lord, if you come to Bhagavatam, devotees are seeing the Lord in front of them, and then they are explaining how the Lord looks like that. Lord has a Chaturbhuja form. He has a flute in his hand. He has a Shankha Chakra Gada Padma Dharan. He's actually holding that. He is a Pitambara. He has a Srivasamar. He has a he has the garland. He's actually wearing that. Huh? Peacock feather he has. So where is all the feature coming from? So this is all mentioned in the scripture, and that is where the topmost way of realizing the knowledge is the Shabda Praman, and that Shabda is coming from the scripture, and that is why our Vedic literature are called as Apurushaya. Why it is called as Apurushaya? Purusha means we are living entity. So if I give a knowledge, that has a limitation, because my senses are limited, my knowledge will also be limited, and that is where every time we have version 1, version 2, version 3, because we couldn't have perfect Gyan. Now after that we see, oh, there are some limitations. Now you improve on top of that. Then you say, oh, the previous version was wrong. But when we launch the previous version, we say this is the best version that we have at this point of time, right? But have you ever seen Bhagavad Gita version 1.1 last year or last time, and then today Bhagavad Gita 1.2 and tomorrow Bhagavad Gita 1.3? No. Bhagavad Gita is, so Bhagavad Gita was, is, and Bhagavad Gita will be the same thing. So, and that is where we come from, the Shabda. So when we talk about that, Prabhupada would say, say 50 years or 100 years ago, when the people will converse, they say that show me Praman. They will always say, show me your Praman. Prabhupada writes in the purport. So people will, when the common people are discussing, they will ask, what is the Praman for that? And what was the answer for that? Veda is a Praman. So they will say, okay, this is where it is mentioned in Veda. Now today, over the period, we lost Vedas. We do not have access to that. We do not know how to understand all things. So then we don't ask that. Then we have some other, then we ask what is the science proof, right? But the science also has its own limitations. Science cannot go beyond all things. Science is not something out of this, because even the Newton or even the great scientists also say that there is something beyond me which I cannot understand. So when we say that we have to imagine form, then we are actually wrong, because as soon as I start imagining the form, I can imagine what I have seen, what I have experienced in this material world. We are talking about the Para Jagat, which is beyond this creation, which is a spiritual creation, which is beyond this Bhautik Sansar. So this Brahmanda has a layers, billions and is its diameter, and beyond that there is a spiritual world, and that spiritual world is a 3/4 of that. We do not know even what happens within our body. Then how can we understand? There was one WhatsApp video, one person was lying and then they did a zoom out, right? And then after that he has shown where he's lying on that road, and from that road it is showing on that suburb. From that suburb, then what happened? That person became a dot, and from that now expanded to the city, and from that city then earthly planet, and then earthly planet. Then how small he becomes? Not even a dot. So you can understand. So that is where we have to understand from the scripture. Shabda is our praman, Shabda is our authority. And that is how we used to understand the knowledge in the earlier days. Does that help? So we don't have to imagine. If we are imagining, then we are wrong. Because today what I am imagining, tomorrow I will say, oh, that was wrong, because that was my yesterday's imagination. So we have to see what Lord, and we will see next time, we will complete, what does Brahmadev says about Lord Krishna, what does Shivji says about Lord Krishna. We will talk about that next week. Next week we'll have a Kirtan Mela. So next week is first. So 8th of December we will discuss about that. Any other question? Otherwise we'll go for chanting. Chanting. 1 घंटा